Hello everybody, I'm Jack Remington of the Jack Remington Political Analyst channel. I'm going to cover two stories today. One that really hurts hard, and it's from military.com. The article is titled, quote, Pentagon identifies 3 Army Reserve soldiers killed in Jordan when Iran-backed militants flew drone into living quarters. 3 photos in one, and from left to right, Specialist Brianna Alexandria Moffett, she's 23 years old, of Savannah, Georgia. The middle picture is Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, he's 46, of Willingboro, New Jersey. And the third picture is Specialist Kennedy Landon Sanders, 24, of Waycross, Georgia. The photo was courtesy of the United States Army. I salute my hat, I salute my soul, and everything else in my being to our fallen soldiers. It upsets me so. I had to wait a day to make the video. That's how bad this is. You can listen to the article like I had to do, or you can read it. You can research it yourself, and this is bad. All the time I hear people say, oh, they're not going to do this, or nothing's going to happen to us. We live in America. You know what? They can join your ass at any time. Don't think you're safe anymore. Don't think you're free anymore, because you're not. That's a different video for a different day. So the main article is going to be, even though it's not my lead article, but the article is 3 years, 1 month ago, or the site is called, well, it's Law Stack Exchange, and it's for educational purposes only, and not a substitute for individualized advice from a qualified legal practitioner. The article I found, after a little bit of deep diving research, was, quote, does the President of the United States really have powers of arrest as per, parentheses, designated survivor, end parentheses, question mark? Asked 3 years and 1 month ago. So the backdrop for this question is a scene in the TV show Designated Survivor shows a president, who is played by Kiefer Sutherland, arresting a state governor for treason. Is this really a thing? Can the President of the United States really arrest citizens for crimes? And are there limits on this? It is, parentheses, as with presidential pardons, end parentheses, something which applies only to federal serious crimes, or can Trump arrest a teenager for jaywalking if he feels like it? So everything is slanted when Trump, close to leaving office or during his term. Everybody and their brother got on the bandwagon. That lady from Chicago, she had like a 5-page web-page site breaking down how Robert Mueller's $40 million Russia collusion hoax for 2.5 years found all this collusion. And this lady has a master's degree in law. She had some other kind of degree, well accomplished in the Midwest. And she took time off of her job and her law practice to try to nail Trump to the wall. So, and I'm still trying to find that back. I mean, she may have removed the site, but I've tried for 2 days in a row to find it. I can't find it. So she was really into it. She really, Robert Mueller found this, and they found that, and Bill Barr's going to turn on him. Some of the things she was actually correct with, but not because Donald Trump was guilty of any Russian collusion hoax. And that's been debunked. Hillary Clinton got away with a $132,000 fine. She just took the account from one of those African dictators, one of these human rights abusers, and just paid it with that. So, having said that, I brought this up because of the situation in Texas. The Supreme Court, about 10 days ago, ruled 5-4 in favor of the Biden administration that Governor Abbott cannot leave that barbed wire up on the border. He has to acquiesce and let the feds come and take the fencing down. And nothing's happened, except there's 700,500 truckers approximately for this truckers convoy. They're coming from all areas of the country. Some of them coming from Canada. Like, remember the Canadian truckers? This is the bad thing. This is why I'm making the video. My message to you is this, fellow American patriots. Do not let them turn us to another January 6th. They will set off a hand grenade. They will set off a smoke bomb. They'll even start shooting, fire 1 or 2 shots. Hey, they shot us first to get the skirmish going. The old cowboy and Indian games from the 1850s to the 1890s until the end of the Wounded Knee. That was in 1892. I'm telling you, they'll do anything to itch a fight, anything to bump into to start a fight. Start throwing hands, start throwing knives, start throwing bullets. They'll do anything. Joe Biden will get up there with Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, your vice president. 4th worst thing since World War II, Pearl Harbor, January 6th. And now we got this thing in Texas. I mean, they're going to make a mountain out of a molehill, fire their base up. Then some of them might normally stay in halfway houses, just stay at home. Now they're going to make sure they're going to go out and they're going to vote. They're going to turn it into political gain any way they can. Unless you're under the auspices of Governor Abbott directly, my advice to you is do not go. My wife told me on the January 6th thing, she said, I don't think you should take a week off work to go back visit your D.C. friends and hear Trump's last speech. She said, I had a bad feeling about it. Yeah. Well, guess what? I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? What if something does go bad? She says, if it goes bad there, you can lose your W-2 jobs. We don't have the money to get you out of bail in D.C. You're from D.C. You know what it's comprised of. And yes, I do. And I thought, you know what? I could never get a fair trial. Even if it's a bench trial where the judge just makes a decision, I got no shot at it if anyone were having me in D.C. And I grew up all my life knowing that. So I thought about it. I said, you know what? I'll just have to watch Trump on YouTube a couple of days later after the January 6th. I believe it was on a Thursday, but it doesn't matter what day it was. It was during the week, and I went to my W-2 job, and my two co-workers who are Obama, Hillary, Biden, they just can't wait to get out and bash Republicans. They can't wait to put down Donald Trump. And no matter what good he did, they don't want to hear it. They only want to hear that Republicans are bad, Orange Man's bad, and that's it. And they double, triple, quadruple down. They will never see anything good that Trump did because they refuse to see it. Which is about over half the country now. Okay, conservatives have turned against Donald Trump because they don't like his style of governing. In other words, Trump is so effective for being a non-politician, it makes everybody look bad, which it does. So here's the problem: under the federal supremacy, the way I understand it, Joe Biden can have Governor Abbott arrested because he's defying the Supreme Court and he's defying Joe Biden's immigration policy. Does a president institute immigration policy? To a degree, yes, he does. The President of the United States is actually the executive branch, and they're supposed to enforce the laws. But you see what they're doing. They only pick and choose the laws they want to enforce, and they ignore the laws that they don't care about. Or they reverse them. Joe Biden had 51 executive orders in the first 2.5 days. He only works 3.5 days. And the mainstream media, not one word about that. Not one word. Oh, Donald Trump, he's golfing, and he did this, and he's at this tennis match, and he went here, he went to a football game, he went to Army, Navy, college football. They bitched incessantly about how Donald Trump spent his off time. Okay, they don't tell you that Trump was working 12-hour days in the White House, and he didn't take Christmas vacation. He stayed home. Everybody else went on vacation. And he appointed more judges in his 4 years than 3 two-term presidents with Clinton, Obama, and George W. Bush. Trump beat them all. His one term versus their 2 terms. Every one of them. He appointed more judges than Clinton and W combined in his 1 term versus their 4 terms. And I think his biggest mistake, I'm digressing for a second here, his biggest mistake is that he took this job, he should have assumed he was going to be a 1-term president. Okay, James K. Polk took the presidency in the mid-1800s, and he knew he was going to be a 1-term president, so he did everything he could possibly do in his 4 years, knowing that he would never win re-election. And he did some good things. He kind of stepped on the Constitution a couple times, but a lot of presidents did, but they got a lot done. And Teddy Roosevelt brings me to mind too. Now, that's my digression. So Trump's biggest mistake, that his ego got the better of him, and he think, well, I'm going to be a 2-term president. Well, no, you're not. You're not going to be a 2-term president. He wouldn't even be running right now if Biden wasn't so bad. Okay, if Biden had actually done a decent job and kept things quiet and did things on the stealth like Obama did, I don't think Donald Trump would even try to run right now. And I know Donald Trump pretty well. I know him better than he knows himself. So the question is, what's Joe Biden going to do? Well, they paint themselves in the corner because the whole country's in uproar, and a lot of the people, even former Democrats, even Democrats currently, are saying, hey, you know what, Texas has got a point. They got to be able to protect themselves from this invasion. You won't do anything about it. They got to take matters in their own hands. What's the mainstream media do? Well, we need peaceful things, and they're not going to be peaceful, and they're already ramping it up, painting MAGA as the problem again. Stay out of courts. You saw what happened to the January 6th people. I just heard a thing about Steve Horn, who was a 22-year-old reporter. I heard the story again on timpool.com, timcast.com. I respect Tim Pool. I'm not going to put his stuff here on YouTube. I may try to ask him if I can use it if I get this local channel started up. Rumble. I don't trust Rumble. Brazil already banned Rumble. There are other countries going to start banning Rumble. And the guys from Canada, he had a good idea. He's in good faith. But he doesn't have the money and the resources Google does and YouTube has. His interface is still bad. They're still having problems with uploads. That's why I have a Rumble account and I haven't looked at it in over a year because it's a waste of time. But the locals, I'm still working and churning, and I'm negotiating some things with people. So I'm going to try to keep a short video here. I understand what you're saying. I understand why the people were going to try to defend the state of Texas. But guess what? Abbott waited 7 years to do anything. So, the first couple of years I can understand because Trump was still in power and things were so bad, and the Remain in Mexico policy, which worked, okay? And Scarborough and this Nika, they're all, and Cenk Unger, who wants to run for president. That piece of shit wants to run for president, okay? I wouldn't vote for him if it meant to save my life. I would vote against him. What a piece of work he must be. So and that meltdown when Trump beat Hillary, I still watch it once in a while when I'm in a bad mood or if I'm feeling down. It gets me in a good mood again. He just could not believe that Donald Trump beat her ass. Of course, she couldn't believe it either. She's still hot on the tail, still trying to lock people up for causing her to lose the election. I think Douglas Massey got a stay of execution, but the trial, I mean, eventually is going to have to be heard, and he's going to go to jail for that meme he made, was making fun of Hillary, and she blamed him for, and it has been proven there was not one person acting on this fake meme. I'm here to tell you, unless you're under the offices of Governor Abbott directly, if you're already in the Texas National Guard, your local police departments, your county, state, local levels, if you're not on those teams, direct orders from Governor Abbott, do not go to Texas for this convoy. Do not do anything. Stay away from the border as far as you can, because they're going to start locking people up, confiscating your vehicles, your trucks, and you're not going to get them back. Think what happened to the Canadians in the convoy in Canada. To offer the confiscation of the accounts from GoFundMe and Give Send Go, especially Give Send Go, the Christian site. They dance on their heads, okay, and they got away with it. So I'm here to tell you, do not get arrested. Stay out of courts because you're feeding the law tree here in America. Every 100,000 cases on the planet, 98,000 are tried right here in the United States. They've done everything they could to make lawfare and keep their law students, and keep the gravy train going, keep the colleges, keep the faculty, keep Harvard going, Yale, Columbia, all the law schools in the country, Stanford. They go out of business. Dan Quayle made this point after he was out of office, after George H.W. Bush lost to Bill Clinton in 1992. Murphy Brown was a big TV show with Candace Bergen. I'm a single mom. I'm going to have this baby. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And the damn with men. I don't want to need a man for it, She needed a man to get pregnant, but she didn't say that part. So, but Dan Quayle got the last, well, I don't want to say last laugh, but he got the last good point. And he goes, you know what? He goes, you're not being a good role model for young women today. You're handicapping your child, and as well as yourself. We don't care about you, but don't you care about your child? And all the mainstream media went nuts. They bashed him more that he was out of office than when he was in office. And Dan Quayle closed it with this. He goes, the United States needs legal reform. Okay? The losers should pay all costs of the lawsuit like they do in the United Kingdom and other European countries, by the way. Now, they keep saying, well, we need to be more like Europe. Well, let's have that lawfare here in European style. Man, watch how fast those law schools close up, or they lower the cost and it's not so expensive anymore, because kids are not going to want to go. They're not going to have a good life where they can just keep fleecing people, keep rebilling people and billable hours when they do nothing for you. And I'm talking through experience. I have not had good experiences with lawyers in my lifetime, and I was going to be a lawyer. So before you start throwing your rotten eggs and rotten tomatoes at me, be careful, because I am in that wheelhouse. I have that credibility to back up what I say. I want the patriots to stay safe. Do not let this turn into January 6th. If you get caught in the crossfire, you see what they're doing in the courts in D.C., they'll take you to D.C. if necessary. Then they'll do the change of venue to get you convicted. Okay? But for you to get a fair trial that will drive your peers, not going to happen. Okay? Joe Biden's given the marching orders. He's still a president. He's a piece of shit president. The worst we're ever going to have, but he's still in power. You better hope Trump wins in 2024. And they're going to make sure somehow that he loses the election. I don't even have the answer how it's going to happen, but I just have that feeling that Trump is finished. So I'm closing this video. I'm sorry about the GIs that had their lives taken away from their serving their country. Remember the Afghanistan debacle? People forgot about that day. Well, I'm not going to forget. And come August, I'm going to have a separate video about that, and I'm going to plaster those 13 names of the servicemen all over that video, and I'll make sure America doesn't forget. Okay? Come November, think about these poor veterans that gave their lives, and Joe Biden on the receiving end of Andrews Air Force Base. I lived probably 20 miles from there when I was in Maryland. He's looking at his watch. Can we get this shit over with? You want to talk about disgraceful and disrespectful to the military? You disrespect the military of my country. I can't go there, folks. I can't go there. I refuse to go there. I will never accept that. Always got to be American. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.